Hello, my name is Pastor Mark Thomas, and I'm a minister. My wife and I have been ministering in Ayumbato, New Mexico, which is just east of Gallup. We've been there for the last 25 years. But today, the purpose for this is that I want to introduce my dad. His name is Richard Thomas. He passed away back in 1984. And he was a Navajo code talker. And many realize that the code talkers played an important part in the Pacific Ocean during the Japanese War. And so my dad has been very influential in my life. Though we had gone through rough times and faced a lot of many hardships, and especially at the death of my mom in 1970, my dad really took a turn for the worse. It devastated him and the children. I was part of it, being young in the family. We went through some hard times, but nevertheless, I always thought about my dad and his part in the World War II, being a Navajo code talker, the hardships that he faced. And then even going back in his life, he was raised with my grandfather. My grandfather had sheep and horses. High school in Albuquerque, pitching. He had very good control of the ball. And so they interviewed him, and they decided to go ahead and take him up on the offer and put him in a farm league in Kansas. And from there, he always thought about back home. He stayed not 2 weeks in Kansas and told the league owner that he missed his grandpa, he missed his dad, he missed the farm life, he missed herding sheep, and he was lonely for that. So he wanted to go back home, so they allowed him to go ahead and go home. And from there on, he grew up and been very close to him, along with my brothers. My dad formed a baseball league, Navajo Youth Baseball Congress it was called. And because of his expertise in ball handling and pitching, we went through the Navajo Nation and played many teams on the reservation and traveled many distances. And we had fun, we had a great time. We'd always come out on top many times, and we had a very good team. My dad was very disciplined, and I would also attribute that to the war efforts and what he had went through, and how disciplined he was as well when he came out. But he didn't talk much about the war, so we didn't quite hear about it until later on in life. But I look back and I just thank the Lord that my dad played a very important part in the war. The code talkers were formed. My dad traveled many places in Philadelphia and Washington and California. Even Winter Rock, Arizona, participated in many parades and activities that the code talkers would be involved with. He grew upon a lot of people, and the influence he had, it touched the hearts and lives of a lot of people, as well as young people as well. A lot of people respected him, and to this day I still hold him highly in my life. And I look up to him and look forward to the day when I'm going to see him again. But I'm so grateful and thankful to be called a son of a code talker, because that is high honors, that very important role that they played. But as I look back, I look at I say to myself and I question, where did he get this? Where there had to be someone that came into his life and influenced him as well. And I look at my grandfather. My grandfather was 105 years old when he was here on this earth. Even at 90 years old, I saw him on his horse, herding sheep. What sheep that he had left, he had 5 left, and many of the family members tried to tell him to get off that horse. You might fall, you might break your neck. But he was very well a good horseman, in good horsemanship, and he knew how to handle horses. And so he'd ride up and down the hill every day, and I thought to myself, this is probably where my dad got all this discipline in his life and passed it on to me. And so I am blessed today that I have a family too as well. And what I saw in my mom and my dad and how they communicated with each other. They loved each other, even though my dad would get himself in trouble, but my mom always stood there beside him. And so I have a wife today that stands beside me too in the ministry as well. And he was so blessed one day when I told him that I found a wife and like to marry her, and ask him for his blessings. And he was so glad and so proud of it too. And so he gave me his blessings to marry my wife, and we have just celebrated 33 years of marriage, November 10th. But getting back to my dad, as you look on the wall here, we've got a medal up here that he received back in 2001 when the United States government finally recognized the code talkers and awarded them this medal. On one side of the medal shows 2 code talkers talking together. The other side of the medal would show the insignia that was given to the Navajo Code Talkers Association. That is their insignia that's copyrighted, and they were been blessed by that, and I'd like to explain a little bit about that as well. If you look on the insignia, the Marine Corps as well gave them permission to develop their own insignia. And to this day, the few code talkers that remain, which is about 17 of them, they wear this insignia on their uniform. These islets that you see here represent the 4 sacred mountains. They are located on a reservation, and the Navajo people are told that if they would stay within these 4 boundaries of these 4 mountains, they would be protected as long as they stay within the boundary of the 4 mountains. Anytime they would venture off the reservation, they had a little ritual, a little ceremony. They had a little pouch that they carried corn pollen in. And they would use that as their prayers for protection off the reservation. But they were glad when they came back from the war, and as they were recognized by the, as I said, the medal that was given to them. The original 29 received a Congressional Medal of Honor, and that was made out of gold. And the remaining code talkers received a silver Congressional Medal of Honor. My dad was one of the recipients of that silver medal. To this day, my brother, oldest brother, he has that medal, and he wanted me to take it with me here on this trip, but I told him, I said, no. I said, that's something very precious. This is what our dad was given this. And I am just grateful and thankful that this is something that he had earned. He had laid down his life, given his life, sacrificed his livelihood, sacrificed the time away from home, from his dad, from his family, to enter into a war that could have taken thousands of lives. But yet his bravery and his determination and not allowing the enemy to get the upper hand, he stepped up and accepted that challenge. And so that gives me great pleasure and great honor today to be proud that I'm a son of a code talker. And that puts thoughts in my mind that you can be all you can be. With a great legacy like that, and I mean, those are big shoes to fill. But yet I will do my best to take that challenge as well. Because I had grown up in a time when I was facing hardship, as I explained earlier. But I thank the Lord that He's given me the opportunity to be an influence to many that are out there. Many that would hear this story and understand and realize that you can become who God created you to be. And so I know I kind of got away from explaining the insignia, but up here on top, the red line at the bottom represents the rainbow that the Navajos look at, and they see it as a blessing upon the Navajo people. And so they use that and the different colors that is given in there, representing a certain aspect of the Navajo code talkers. And so as I look at this today, I am just overwhelmed. Many times I sit at home and I think about the life that he lived, of how many people thought that he would never become someone important. And little did we realize, as his children, realize that we would have someone great in our family like this. A man that has accepted the challenge, and now their influence spreads not only in this country but throughout the world. And how they gave their life, and I'm just grateful and thankful. And so I hope that someone out there watching that would realize that you can rise up. There's great challenges given to us today, but you can become the person that God intended for you to. Put your mind to it, and you will see the results, and I guarantee you, you'll live a lot happier life. And now, as I think about my dad, passed away, but yet he's waiting for me in heaven. My mom is waiting for me in heaven. They knew the Lord Jesus Christ. And so I look forward to the day that each day passes by is another day closer, not only to my mom and dad, but to the Lord Jesus Christ. So I thank you today for listening, and just thank the Lord for all that He's done for me in my life, as well as my dad. Thank you.